Next Wave. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's North American review from Next Wave Gaming for the Wildcard series. With me today, I've got LemonsPeppers, Scotch 737, and Alajj from Next Wave Gaming. We are going to be covering everything you saw this week in the Wildcards, going over picks, bans. We're going to cover ADCs, mids, solos, and jungles. For those of you who don't know, quick intro, I'm Wolfpack89. I do a lot of the site dev, some of the data analysis, and data entry for Next Wave Gaming. Lemons?
I'm Lemons. I kind of do whatever, but I'm also the hunter for the new competitive team.
Yes.
I'm Scotch 737. I do the video editing for Next Wave Gaming, and I play mostly casual Smite, but enjoy League or Ranked as well, and just try not to feed.
I'm Alajj. I work on the stats cards that you see in the videos.
Doing a lot of the images for us.
Yeah.
Always helpful. Awesome. Well, we will just jump straight into it. We'll just look at the gods that were picked this week. Apollo, there were 6 games over this last weekend. Apollo was played in 5 of them. Freya, Geb, Janus, Loki, Mercury, and Nemesis were all played in 4 of them. Isis, Odin, Thor, Isis, Odin, Thor played in 3. Ra, Rama, and Oler played in 2. Agni, Honor, Afro, Athena, Shock, Cupid, Fenrir, Guan Yu, Hunbots, Kukulkan, Poseidon, Thanatos, and Moana all played once. Apollo still very heavily favored in NA as the hunter. Geb also still very heavily favored in NA as the lead support. Mercury coming back a little bit this week, but not much Serket. I mean, no Serket played this week, actually. What do you guys think about that? You could just chalk it up to the bans, or?
I think it's the bans and people holding off on to keeping a little bit of their cards hidden for the World Championship.
Yeah, that definitely could be. We have 3 months almost until the World Championships. You definitely don't want to tilt your hand too much.
Yeah, and I think Serket's kind of a situational pick if she's not banned, and Apollo, even after the nerf, is still Apollo.
Right.
Well, they didn't really nerf anything on him that made him not Apollo, though. He still has his mez. The reason people pick Apollo is because of his ult. Getting to places fast, being able to fight in team fights constantly. And that's... You still have a mez, you don't get protections, but how often does an Apollo player use his mez just for protections? As opposed to using his mez for a stun.
Yeah, or just a way to get out, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the fact that there's no magical protections on the 2 anymore. I mean, we don't typically talk about abilities as much. We typically focus on the picks and the bans, but the fact that Apollo was nerfed this week, I think, makes it important to talk about. He was nerfed and still played in 5 out of 6 games. I think that speaks to the incredible potency of Apollo. Even though he's nerfed, he still played. And Freya, the same thing. She got a nerf too. Still played in 4 games. Rama in 2 games, and of course banned sometimes. So, just speaks to their incredible power.
It comes down to 2 things regarding Apollo and Freya. Apollo, his passive is still his passive. Without an item, he gets is it 100% attack speed?
Yeah, he gets 100% attack speed.
100% attack speed when he builds up his audacity. And then, Freya, late game, as long as Freya can farm, and you can hold off till after the 20-minute mark, Freya's Freya.
Yeah.
As soon as she gets her 3rd item done, she's chunking anybody on the map. So.
Yeah, they just made her ult a little harder to hit, which that's not the danger of Freya.
Yeah. Yeah.
The danger of Freya is the damage she puts out in between her ult.
The demonic grip and hasten fatalis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But
well, go ahead.
They were just trying to nerf them to where they weren't useless, but they were still useful.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're the hunter for Next Week Gaming. What do you think?
Honestly, with Apollo, it's like there's no difference. Because, like I said, most people don't even use their mez for protections. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, I mean, if that situation arises, which it doesn't come up very often, most of the time it's mez and then dash out.
Right.
But, and with Freya, the first time I ulted with Freya recently, I was like, whoa, this is weird. And then it's not any different. You just don't. You don't hit as many people.
It's not half the lane.
Yeah. It's just most of the time when I ult with Freya, I'm ulting like 1 or 2 people, so it's not that big of a deal. So
Right. Yeah.
they're
So,
fair nerfs. I just don't think that they were the nerfs they needed.
All right, well, that kind of cover the picks and everything. We'll go over the ADCs now. First place ADC is going to be 80 carried from Rambozos at 1783. Sam Na coming in at second with 1642, some of his highest scores coming out this week. The Paradox at 1265 and Wubba at 1185. So 80 carried and Sam Na doing very well. The two teams with the winning record, obviously, coming out on top. But even the game where Sam didn't win, he had a decent score at 1320. And of course, Thirst topping the charts at 1442 in game 3, almost managing to pull off some good numbers there. But 80 carried, leading the way with 709 player damage per minute dealt, almost 100 over Sam Na at 633 player damage per minute. Just doing phenomenally well this week.
80 carried proving his name, man.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I noticed about Eddie Carey when I was watching him is KDA is not actually that high. He's went 12, 9, and 29. Where if you look at Samshu, he's 14, 8, and 34. So just he doesn't get a lot of kills, but he dishes out the player damage. He dishes out the structure damage too. If you look at his structure damage, it's 155 structure damage per minute. Samshu right behind him at 131, and of course, having to get his healing in, he did 39 or 156 healing per minute in that one game. 39 healing per minute average across 3 games. Total of 3910 player damage. Player healing.
One thing I think this difference in between NA and EU, as far as the hunter role goes, is even though he didn't have that high KDA and he didn't have as many assists, he put the pressure on in a certain place so his team could put the pressure on somewhere else.
Right.
In other words, he wasn't attracting attention to him. Well, he was attracting attention to himself while his team could be doing other things. And regardless if it's split pushing or just pushing the other hunter out of lane, just so that they could go do something else. Even the mid harpies or the gold fury or whatever objective that the team was focused on. But yeah, I watched him play this weekend, and it was nice to see a new ADC coming out of the Challengers Cup that just really turned it on.
Yeah, I mean, he played Apollo twice and Oler once. So you got the split pusher and then basically the utility hunter. One of the hunters, I believe you call them casting hunters. You put Oler in that category too. Yeah. Oler Cupid beneath casting hunters, where they focus kind of on their abilities, more than necessarily player damage through bases.
Yeah, it's the difference in between, Apollo has his in hands, Uller or Ram has his in hands. I view that Uller is more of a ability based god than he is. You hear the casters say that he's a burst hunter. Well, it's because his abilities does more damage than his in hands do.
You watch that. Yeah. That the axe throw into the stun, into the 1, into the 3. Just so much damage coming out right there. And then by that point, you can probably jump at him. When you jump at him, you can use your 1 again. It's just so quick. Although it was very prominent for a very long time before they nerfed him, and then he kind of fell off, and then Ram came, and then everybody fell off except Ram and Apollo.
I've played him in jungle before, and it works.
Yeah, I remember playing a 5 ADC game with an older support, It was that one was crazy too. But the Oler jungle was very real for a while. Although Geb jungle was real for a while on Geb release too. So almost any guy can jungle on
Anubis jungle. Why not?
Yeah, Anubis jungle is scary.
Yes,
but,
it is.
Look back at our numbers. Our highest averaging kills is Samshu at 4.6, 80 carried coming in at 4. The lowest deaths is actually going to be the Paradox, averaging 2.3 deaths per game. Samshu 2.6, and 80 carried 3.0 deaths per game. Samshu also getting the highest number of assists. No surprise, given that he played Cupid, getting 15 assists alone in the game that he played Cupid on. So
Nice.
then we just let's look at. I always like looking at the damage taken. They don't get a lot of points for damage taken, but it shows you kind of positioning. Paradox getting only 657 player damage taken per minute, and also the lowest mitigation at 248. So just positioning well, not taking the unnecessary damage, although failing to hit a tower in 2 out of 3 games.
Well, I think another thing that leads to is if you're kind of low on the damage taken per minute, maybe you weren't in as many team fights.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Which could mean split pushing, or it could mean you're just not there.
Yep.
It could mean any one of those things. All right. Well, Lemons, you want to take us into the supports and give us our top supports for week 1 of the Wildcards.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. Okay, so number 1 this week was Bugsy from 5 a.m. with a player score of 1923. Followed by Roar from the Chunks at 1820. Then Elbro Chacho from Thirst, scoring a 1521 this week. And Chris Pocket from the Rambozos at 1410.
Yeah. Bugsy playing very, very well. Everybody from 5 a.m. playing really, really well.
Yeah.
Everybody's familiar that is Clow's team. Clow was playing on it for a while, and from what I've heard, he's gone down to a manager role. Everybody knows Clow. Their clan tag even being Clow9.
Great Clow.
So, yeah.
Great clan tag.
Yeah, that's a good job. I mean, Bugsy doing a phenomenal job, not keeping any stats on any of the wildcard teams before. It's great to see him coming out. He mitigated 813 and took 732. And I've been saying from the beginning, ever since I first noticed this, the supports who do well are going to be the supports who are mitigating more than they're taking. That means your damage, your builds coming online sooner. You're getting the farm. I mean, even the farm supports this. He's got 480 GPM. Second place, Aurora has 452, which is the second highest farm. And then fourth place, Chris Pocket has 429. And third place, El Rachacho has 412. But the only other support who mitigated more than they took was second place Aurora at 775, 721, mitigation taken. You mitigate more than you're taking, you're doing your job as a support. And just for the record, Aurora also had the highest structure damage in line with his, let's do player damage as a support. Might as well do structure damage too. Why not?
Yep.
Fenrir.
He did run a Fenrir support, like I mentioned before, with Samshu in the duo lanes. Yeah, Fenrir.
I think that match at the 15-minute mark, he had the highest player damage on his team as support Fenrir.
Yeah.
Pressing 3 is hard.
Pressing 3 is very hard. Almost as hard as pressing
Fenrir.
4 is new.
They really bullied El Brochacho in that match.
Oh, yeah.
What makes you say that?
They weren't even focusing the ADC. They were taking El Brochacho out of every single fight first in that match, and they didn't have their support there because El Brochacho couldn't buy beads.
Yeah.
So every single time they went in, it was El Brochacho.
Yeah, I mean it's
El Brochacho playing. He played Athena that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you look at that game, he ended up taking 18,567 and mitigated 16,255 in only 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of thing the Chunks have been doing over and over again. If they can get banned out of the game, Gep has his shield. Pressing 3 is hard. So, but Athena is usually going to be buying Shell and whatever active, but it's never beats. It's just
Right.
hardly ever. It's usually Hand of the
Yeah.
Gods, because she's a support. She's got to have Hog 3, and then it's usually Shell because it's such a great item. But
Yeah.
every time Thirst has banned Geb and the other team picks Athena, that's when they do the Cupid Fenrir lane. We see it in the SPL. We saw it now in the Wildcards. I don't know why teams haven't picked up on this yet, but Fenrir really abuses the support early game and gets the team so far ahead that you really can't catch back up. Because now you can just pick on the support. They're the first kill. They're the hog. They're the objective secure with a hog. Well, if you take the hog out of it, just pick off everybody else then.
Right. I just would like just to point out that the 3 Odin plays this week were Bugsy.
He played
All 3 times
games.
he supported Odin all 3 times.
Oh, he plays an amazing Odin. And it
It
goes...
shows, his support score shows it.
And,
Support Odin works if done right. This proves it.
yeah, and it goes with the team comp.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
zoned out Roz every match. That 100% healing reduction on his ult is just... It's really good if you optimize it the right way. And we saw a few ults in a few of the games where I think they went in and they were trying to push a Phoenix. And
Yeah.
he ulted the whole team out while they escaped because they were getting ready to lose Fire Giant buff. And I think he lost his life for it, but still he saved his whole team, and they came back up and they were able to push right back on right hand lane. It was just amazing to watch Bugsy play Odin right and play him in his current kit and the current meta. No problem.
All right, well, let's go into mid lane. First place this week is going to be Mace to the Face at 1531, Heroin at 1411, Jacob Malfoy at 1323, and Aduro at 1227. Mace to the Face coming out very, very strong this week with a roll high player damage of 613 player damage per minute, doing very well. Second place is going to be Heroin, who took second, obviously, at 575 player damage per minute. So a lot of player damage coming out from the mid. Of course, that's what mids do. They do player damage.
ISIS.
Yeah, ISIS putting out the most player damage every single game. I think. Yeah, I mean, just on average, ISIS put out the most player damage, but ISIS was also the winning game. The single highest player damage award does go to Kukulkan, though, from Aduro. Their one win this week, the Rambosa's one win, did go when Aduro played Kukulkan.
I think people underestimated that even though after he's nerfed, his ult still hits a crap ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kukulkan still hurts.
And they
and his
lined
tornado
up.
still hurt.
Yeah.
His tornado still hurt.
He
They're
had
not
some.
going to 100 to 20 you in 3 seconds
Yeah,
anymore.
he had some really good ults into the tornado, which is kind of vice versa. It used to be tornado into ult, or somebody else stuns into an ult, but he had some really good placements of the tornadoes to take advantage of the damage that they do. And when you knock somebody up with a, what's it called now? Spirit of the Nine Winds.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think so.
When you knock somebody
Spirit
up,
Tempest.
It used to be Spirit Tempest. It's
Yeah.
not Spirit Tempest now.
Might as well be.
But-
everybody calls
it's
it.
still the Dargan.
it's
still the
still
Dargan.
it's a Dargan, right? Yeah. But anyway, when you knock somebody up with that, they have to fall back into a tornado, and he placed those tornadoes perfectly after he ulted, and that's what ensured the damage. Because it's not like the old school days where if you stand in a tornado for just a second, you take all the damage from it. Now, if you can walk out of tornado, you only take a few ticks.
Two-thirds of the damage from
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, but he plays Kukulkan very well. But yeah, I still think this week, Mace to the Face on ISIS, which this is the scary thing. If you ban ISIS from Mace to the Face, you still have the best over in solo, playing whatever mid god he wants to play, and Mace to the Face can play any god in the game, and he can play him very well. So if you're gonna ban ISIS, then you leave open Raw if you don't pick them. I just thought it was really good to see the team synergy from 5 a.m. come in and just wreak havoc on a lot of the teams this week.
Absolutely. When we're talking about ISIS, her ult provides, damage protections. Because Mace of the Face played ISIS all 3 games, he had 209, 401, and 175, meaning an average of 282 damage mitigation per minute. Topping that of all mid laners, second highest is going to go to Jaco, who played Agni, Sola, and Ra. So no mitigation there really.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Mace of the Face
ISIS
doing
ult,
a lot.
yeah, it gives protections plus it decreases the damage. So.
Yep.
And
Well,
no wins from Raw this week.
No wins from Raw.
No wins.
No wins at all from Raw this week,
Poor
which is
Laser
very
Not
surprising.
even in the solo lane.
Not even in the solo. Nope. Just a rough week for Raw. All in all. Not even a win for Raw in the solo. Raw was not played in the solo lane this week though, so take that for what you will. But that's kind of a nice little segue. Let's head into solo. Alajj, you want to take us through the top players in the solo lane this week?
Okay, coming in at number 1, we have Cyclone Spin with a score of 1800, followed by Meerkat with 1625, The Best with 1601, and 1233 for Osmosis.
I think the story here right now is Cyclone Spin. He did healing, he did structure damage, he did tower damage, he mitigated damage, he took damage, he had good farm, second highest farm in out of all solo laners, the best having the highest farm, and he played Afro on her Guan Yu. The one loss they had was when he played on her solo, because you don't play on her solo, but it's the chunks, so what you gotta do?
Yeah.
I
mean,
kind
the one
of
loss
like
they
the
did
pick.
have was against 5 a.m. and 5 a.m. is on fire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is true. But it also was the one game that they had. They did a different comp. They ran 2 hunters. But other than that, giving the guy a hard time right now. But other than that, you played phenomenally well. And even in that game, you went 5, 3, and 10, 434 GPM. Your player damage significantly lacked though. 473.84. You took a lot more damage that game, and you mitigated almost none of it.
I think his problem in that game, to just give my honest opinion, he went into Devo's gloves a little bit late when he didn't really need lifesteal. As a solo laner playing an ADC type or a hunter type god, you need pin. You need more pin, because your other hunter is playing a hunter who has crit, basically. So you need pin because the other team is building physical protections, and that's honestly my opinion on that. He should have just dropped the Devo's gloves and went straight into Titan's Bane or Jotun's or something, some type of pin. Executioner, I don't care. But yeah, I still think he played well that match. It's just when you don't have the damage to chew through the armor, you're just not going to win the team fight.
All right, well, let's go out of solo and go into jungle, where the first place is going to go to, again, 500 men. Is this Homie FA? We'll just call him Homie because nobody's really sure.
I think it's Homify.
Homify?
Yeah, Homify.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
It's not spelled that way.
No.
Either way, that guy, we'll just call him Homie, or Homa, whatever. He landed a score of 1636. Wolfie coming in at second. Yes, topping the charts again for us, Wolfie, 1550. And then we got Unique at 1310 and Grishank at 1223. Unique getting shut down. Unique's been a fairly good player, going 14, 12, and 18, 468 farm. But the person I actually want to look at here is Wolfie, because he was able to come back and I want to look at why. You did 603 player damage per minute, the highest of any jungler. He, as Hunbach and 2 Nemesis games, he was able to take 799 damage per minute and mitigate 406 using that shield. He was also to do a total of 469 structure damage in game 1. The other 2 games not managing to hit a tower, but he tried. It was very, very obvious.
Wolfie was really trying to bring it
and
back
wants
in.
this badly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Homify, I'm telling y'all guys, I almost saw a reincarnated Thorgars.
Yeah, 2 Thor games and a Thanatos game, winning all 3.
He's one of the few people that's won a Thanatos game in the SPL.
Yeah.
And he played him lights out. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw this, but he would go up into the ult, bam, right back down. I mean, he would get to that person below the threshold, and bam, just he would go right up in there and straight back down. He played the character so well, and his team knew that with Thanatos you have to get at least a 10,000 gold advantage in the first 15 minutes of the game. You got to do it. Because if not, Thanatos sucks. And, you know, we talked about this last week. I was like, stop picking Thanatos. Stop picking Thanatos. But he's actually one of the first people I've seen in a long time play the character right and gank right with him. He wasn't engaging with Thanatos. He was finishing with Thanatos, which is what Thanatos is made for. But his Thor was amazing. His Thor was just as good as Dagars' Thor. It was amazing to watch. His stuns were on cue. His ones were amazing. I saw him ult 3 people in a team fight 4 times in the game. I mean, and if y'all know Thor's passive, he gets, you know, the more people that surround, the more damage he has. So when you spend a win, their health bar was just gone.
Just melting away.
Yeah, it was nice to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he averaged 13 assists per game, an average of 8.6 kills per game. What?
That's 3 games, right?
3 games.
Mm-hmm.
9, 9, and 8. He went 9-0 the first game. Against, it looks like it was against. Was it against Thirst? Yeah, it was against Thirst because the Rambosos game was later in the day. So he went 9-0 against Thirst, 9-0 and 17. He went 9-5 and 16, and then 8-2 and 6. Highest farm in the game, 495. So not only is he getting the ganks, he's getting the kills, he's also keeping his farm up. Now, granted, ganks and all that helps, but his highest farm game was his Thor. His lowest farm game was his Thor, and his Thanatos game was sitting right there, smack dab in the middle.
He also has the most assists.
Yes, he does.
As well as the most kills.
Yeah,
and that
39
tells
assists.
you he's a part of every team fight.
Yep.
He makes sure he's there.
Amazing.
He has great. That shows you great map awareness. Shows you team awareness. He's team oriented, which is exactly what these teams need to be at this point.
Somebody I've never heard of.
In SPL.
Never heard of Homify. Then all of a sudden, we've got another Dagars coming in. I'm like,
we'll see. I mean, there's a very real chance that they could play Dagars.
Yep.
They could play against Dagard, and then we'll have to see whose Thor is the real Thor.
Yep.
Is it Thorgars or is it? You can't really fit Thor into that name at all.
I think it'll come down to the team comps.
Yep.
Whenever they do play together.
Yep, I completely agree.
Cause we've only seen him play two different gods, and you know I watched a little bit of the Challengers Cup, but I watched more of the EU than I did the NA, just because of my work schedule. But still, I mean, a guy that comes in and plays Thor lights out is a guy to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, that takes us out of the jungle, and that brings us to our predictions. So next week, first game is going to be Fat Chunks versus the Rambozos, and we will just go around the table here. Lemons, what do you think? Fat Chunks or Rambozos?
I'm going to have to give it to the Chunks. They've been playing really well the past few weeks towards the end of the SPL, and even now, they only lost to the team that went 3-0. That's the only team they lost to. So I think they're on fire right now, and it's going to be hard to stop them.
Scotch?
I'm gonna have to agree with Lemons here. Sam sure nah or Sam sure yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to the Chunks, not only because they have proved, even though they didn't have the best record in the SPL, they can play conventional picks, and they played it against COG Prime over and over and over again, and were in the gold lead at the 10-minute mark. But you know they just did not press the throttle and take the win. So against these teams, I think the Chunks has the advantage. Although the Rambozos is nothing to shake a stick at, but
Right.
you know, I just give it to the synergy that they've had, and plus the experience that they've had with some of the top teams in the world. So,
All right, Alajj.
I'm going with Chunks. I've been enjoying their play style through the SPL and watching the games that I could this weekend. It was definitely Chunks, 5 Angry Men and Chunks that shown. And I think it's going to continue that way through the Wildcards.
Okay, cool. I'm actually going to give it to the Rambozos. I think the Rambozos basically came in this week and said, okay, and I'm pretty sure they've been scrimming the Chunks and scrimming Thirst. But at this point, you know, you've never actually played a game against them, not a real competitive game where something's on the line. So they come in, they play their first competitive game, something's on the line, they go, okay, we lost. Okay, fine. Next week, they know how to do. There's less butterflies. You're not worried about things as much. I think the Rambozos come back, and I think they win against the Chunks. I'm not sure they're going to make it to the regionals, but I think they get a win against the Chunks. The next game we have is Thirst and the Rambozos. We'll go backwards this time. Alajj?
I'm thinking Rambozos, they're still trying to synergize their team, and it's still showing that they're still trying to get that synergy amongst their players. So it's going to be the Rambozos.
Okay. Stash?
I love Thirst. Like I said, y'all still got the best logo in Smite, but I got to give this in the Rambozos. I just don't think everything's clicking. Adapting has to really pick it up on the Rambozos. I think he can actually carry the team if he plays right. So,
All right. Lemons?
Rambozos. It's unfortunate. It's the reason I'm going with Rambozos over Thirst is because Thirst hasn't had a team yet. It's kind of like a pickup game or a pickup team every time they play. They never have the same hunter. It's just if they play with Astro, I believe they can pick up a game next week. And
But you
if
don't
they
think it's
do
against
pick up a
Thirst?
game?
You don't think it's against Rambozos?
I think they have a chance against Rambozos if they play with Astro. But if Astro's not there, I don't think they got it.
I'm going to kind of be in the same place as you are. Although I'm just going to give it to Thirst. I'm going to say Astro plays with them. They get their lineup, and they get a win. But I think this is their only win. I think they're pretty much done for the season. And then they have some time to figure out what they're going to do. Whether they're going to try to solidify their roster, or there's a bunch of options ahead of them. So then they have a lot of time to prepare for the next upcoming season. So I give it to Thirst, but I don't think they will much further than that.
please,
Next-
Thirst. We want the logo next season, please.
Yep, we really do. Rambozos versus 5 Angry Men. 5 Angry Men is on a rampage. I give it to 5 a.m. Lemons?
I don't think 5 a.m. is going to lose a game.
Okay.
Same here. I think it's because of a few reasons. That team plays so well together, and so well together even after 2 weeks of picking up the best in the solo lane. And really, if you think about it, the jungler doesn't really have to worry about the best. The best has been here. He's done that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an extensive god pool. I've seen him play Hunter before. He can play anything, and I think he's really out to prove a point too. And I don't want to be on the receiving end of that, in the words of Crimson. So it's kind of one of those things that I don't think 5 a.m. is losing the match.
Okay, Alajj?
It's going to be 5 a.m. I think they're going to be very dominant, and if they do lose a game, it's going to be against Chunks.
Okay. Now, the next game is Thirst v Fat Chunks. I give it to Chunks. Sorry, Thirst. But you had, what is it, 4 chances against them in the SPL. Did not really turn out that great. And I don't think anything's going to be different now. Scotch?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I just hope
we all kind of get depressed
yeah.
because we all really want Thirst to be the good team that they can be. I'm just noticing every time we get to Thirst, we're all like, yeah. So.
Well, I mean, it's we all love everybody in the community, and it just stinks that we know each individual player has a chance, but unless you can fight as 5, which is what this game is about, you lose. So start learning how to fight as 5.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Lemons?
Thirst and Chunks, right? It's going to be Chunks. Like I said, they have a lot of momentum coming out of the SPL.
Yeah.
Winning
Alajj?
a lot of their games towards the end.
Alajj?
So.
It's going to be Chunks, even though I'd like to see Thirst kind of lock down a team or be able to lock down a team and lock down alternates that they can count on from week to week. Until Thirst can do that, I'm not seeing many wins coming out of them.
All right. Well, then we have our second to last matchup, 5 a.m. v Thirst, and I give it to 5 a.m.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
Hands down.
The problem with 5 a.m. it's kind of like Cog Red. There's so many gods you have to ban from Cog Red that it's just not possible to ban all of their best gods. Rom on Snoopy, Thor on Gars, the Boosh plays Raw, and then
Ionic on Geb.
Yannick on Geb, and then who's the soul laner? Oh gosh,
Divios.
Divios plays everything.
Yeah.
So
you can't ban Divios.
you can't do it. And I think 5 a.m. came and showed that there's some gods that they are really strong at in every role.
Yep.
Odin, Isis, Thor. You only get 2 bans at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean you saw Bugsy play Odin 3 games and just done amazing. I mean, you don't ban Odin. Odin sucks, right?
Yeah.
And
Nobody plays Odin.
Yeah,
I think Odin's really good, but nobody plays him.
But yeah, I agree with you, man.
Nobody plays Isis. Isis is really good.
The god pool is so strong on that team. It's just if you ban something, you're gonna get something else to the face. And
yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, Alajj, you want to weigh in on this one?
It's 5 Angry Men. Like I said, if 5 Angry Men loses a game, it's going to be against Chunks and nobody else.
I agree with that.
Well, that takes us on to that game, which is 5 Angry Men versus the Chunks. Alajj, since you kind of seem on the fence about this one, you want to give us your perspective?
I'm gonna say Chunks, even though I know 5 Angry Men has the advantage. I'm just hoping and praying that Chunks shows up and shows what they're truly capable of.
Yeah. Cool. Scotch?
I think I'm actually gonna go with Alajj on this one. As long as the Chunks get the gold lead ahead early, if they just keep putting the pressure, because I think we saw a difference this weekend. Earlier it was, oh, we got the gold lead, we're good, we can just farm now. No, you get the gold lead. If you're 500 gold ahead of the other team, you keep pressing objectives and you force team fights and you win them because you're ahead. And if they do that, I think the Chunks have the advantage because they've played more higher caliber teams. You know, this is the wild cards. This is what this is all about. You've got more experience. Go in and do your job and freaking push your advantage.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think 5 a.m. takes this. I really do. They are playing phenomenally well. I think I agree that they don't lose a game.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of on the fence, as I think 5 a.m. is going to win. But as a spectator, somebody watching the game, I want this to be a fight for first seed. This being the last game of the wild cards.
Exactly.
I want this to be a really intense game for both teams. I want to see what they can do under a lot of pressure.
we might see it.
I hope they win. I hope both Chunks and 5 a.m. win every game up until this point. So this is the fight for who gets first seed coming out of the wild cards. Because I think it's going to be 5 a.m. and Chunks.
Yep. I agree
And
with you on that.
That would bring it to a tie. So I hope there's a tiebreaker after that.
Oh, yeah. More. Give
That'd
us
be
more. We want more.
Give us more content, more games. We want it. I think the rest of the community does too. Anybody else want to weigh in on this one? We good? Cool. Well, that finishes us up. We want to say thank you from all of us at Next Wave Gaming, for LemonsPeppers, for Scotch 737, and for Alajj, and myself, and everybody else at Next Wave Gaming. Thanks for watching. You can always find us on Twitter at Next Wave Gaming, and you can also find us at nextwavegaming.com. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/nextwavegaming. You can find videos of all of our previous SPL review videos at youtube.com/nextwavegaming2, but we're not posting over there anymore. Everything now is on Next Wave Gaming. So make sure you follow us there. And like I said, for everyone else at Next Wave Gaming, thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next week for the conclusion of the wild cards. Just so you know, make sure you follow us, because Scotch and I will be covering the Worlds in January. So make sure you give Next Wave Gaming a follow so you can keep up to date on that. We will be covering it at the event live. So that's all, and we will see you guys next week.